Welcome back to another video. This is Andrew Tucker, and this is the Elijah channel. And we are looking at end time events, that's end time religious events, in light of what is happening in the political realm. And this afternoon, this morning, whenever the video reaches you, I'd like to look at Pope Leo XIV. The last video, we asked the question, is Pope Leo XIV Black? We know that he's the first American pope, the first American pope, the first pope who was actually born in the United States, who speaks English as his native tongue. And it was rather strange when we saw Vice President J.D. Vance, the US Vice President, going to his inauguration at the Vatican, and he was giving to him a present, and they were both corresponding in English. And not that corresponding is English is actually foreign to a reigning pope, because some popes, they are bilingual. We know that Pope Francis did not speak English, and I have never heard him speak a word in English, but we know that former popes, such as Pope John II, did speak some English, but they would speak English with an accent, right? Now, it was very interesting to note that J.D. Vance was speaking to Pope Leo XIV, and they could speak in fluent English, and both sounded American. So that's interesting that we have the first Pope who hails from America. Now he's also the first, or the second, I should say, Latin American Pope, because Pope Francis would have been the first Latin American Pope, the first pope to have emerged from the New World, as it were. Now, today we are going to look at the fact that the Pope wants to be the Pope of peace, right? And the Pope of justice and the Pope of truth. This is what Leo XIV is suggesting, that he's going to be the Pope of peace and truth in the world. Now, is the Catholic Church a church that teaches biblical truth? No, it doesn't. And for that reason, you had the Protestant Reformation. And the word Protestant, the root word of that word from which that word was derived, is protest, to protest. And that is why they were called Protestant. And what were they protesting against? They were protesting against the rise of the Roman Catholic papacy and its doctrines, its teachings, and its actions throughout the world, in which it murdered millions of people for not adhering to its religious dogmas and doctrines. That is why the Protestant Reformation came about. And we know that a lot of people lost their lives for speaking against the Catholic Church. They were tortured, they were burnt at the stake, right? Because that in the eyes of the Vatican, in the eyes of the Roman Catholic papacy, that is what truth and justice stands for. That is what peace stands for. Their understanding is that they're against democracy. They don't like the fact that humans actually are able to elect their government. They don't believe in democratic representation, right, in having a representative democracy. That is antithetical. It is the antithesis of what the Roman Catholic papacy believes in. And that is something that you and I have to understand at this juncture of the history. We should be reading our history because we see a rise in the Roman Catholic Church. Now, our world is at this point embroiled in a lot of wars, and don't we need peace? But we know that the Vatican papacy, the Roman Catholic papacy, is not the church. It's not the political system that is going to bring about peace in this world. In fact, the Bible did say, when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them and they shall not escape. So we have to also bear scripture in mind. We have to read our prophecy. We have to read Revelation 17, which speaks about the woman riding the beast, the woman. And woman there is a symbol of a fallen church riding the beast. And we know that beast, as it's taught in the Bible, throughout the Bible, particularly in Daniel and Revelation, refers to a nation state, a kingdom with a kingly power. All right. Now, the Vatican, the Roman Catholic papacy, the Roman Catholic Church is a religio-political system. It means, therefore, that it believes in the merger of religion and the state, that they want the church to be at the helm of the state. So when the Bible gave a fitting metaphor in which the woman, the church, the fallen church is riding the beast, on top of the beast, on top of the political power. And that is why you see all of these political prime ministers and presidents going there at his inauguration and also at the death when the Pope dies. Whenever a Pope dies, they go to the funeral and they, show their obeisance and their deference towards the Pope. Now, it is interesting to note that the Vatican, which is a religious political system, has diplomatic relationships with 184 countries around the world. It's a powerful structure. It's a powerful religio-political body. We've got to understand that, and we must know that this power is one of the greatest systems which opposes religious and civil liberties. Now, whenever we have the merger of church and state, that is where we're going to have the reinstitution of persecution, where government is going to listen to what comes from the church. Now, notice that the church talks about it is there, that is the Roman Catholic papacy, the Roman Catholic Church, to propagate truth. So, in other words, whatever the Roman Catholic Church suggests, whatever it posits, that is going to be truth. That is going to be truth. And you're going to hear, oh, whatever, if you say nay to that, then you're disseminating misinformation. So we have got to be very careful when we look at the Roman Catholic Church, a religious body which suggests that it is there to disseminate truth. Now, the Pope Leo XIV, one of his first visits he's suggesting is to visit Nicaea. Right now, Nicaea, for those of you who don't know, was where the first council of the first ecumenical movement was launched in 325 under Constantine. So by ecumenism, by ecumenical movement, we mean that the Roman Catholic Church wants all the churches which have separated from its fold to come back. Because during the Protestant Reformation that began in 1517 in Germany and spread throughout Western Europe and ended up here in the Americas, in the New World, with the United States emerging, and still is known or touted to be the most Protestant of all nations. I don't know if it still is such because of the role that the Roman Catholic Church is playing in the United States politics at the moment. But it still has a lot of Protestant churches there. So the Bible refers to these false Protestant churches as daughters, her daughters who have moved away from her. And she wants her daughters to return under the fold of Roman Catholicism. So she's seeking now to have that bridge, the bridge that will merge the daughters back with the Roman Catholic papacy and to also reinstitute the merger of church and state and eliminate the separation of church and state. And that is why you're hearing even in the United States, what is deemed to be the most Protestant country, suggesting that there is, some people are suggesting, some politicians like the Palm Bundy, who is now the Attorney General, is suggesting that there is no clause in the Constitution that talks about separation of church and state. While there is no specific language in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, but we understand that Congress shall make no law. So that is the implication that the fact that there is any law should not be made where you are forbidding the rights of citizens either to participate or not to participate in any religious activity. The Vatican, however, wants the population of the world to participate in Roman Catholicism. It wants to attract their attention. It wants to indoctrinate, as it were. It wants to evangelize the entire population of the world to suggest that they are, because the Pope and the Roman Catholic Church, the priests and the bishops and the archbishops, they like to be worshipped. And they want the worship, they desire the worship of the entire population, world's population, of the entire global population. Hope you're understanding that. So we have here in the article coming out of the American magazine, and this is a Jesuit paper. Pope Leo to diplomats, the church will always speak truth and work for justice. Right? When Pope Leo XIV met the ambassadors from the 184 countries that have diplomatic relations with the Holy See for the first time since his election, he told them that peace, justice, and truth are three essential words that represent the church's missionary activity and the aim of the Holy See's diplomacy. He received them in the Clementine Hall of the Vatican's Apostolic Palace on the morning of May 16th and was welcomed by the retiring Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, George Polides, Ambassador of the Republic of Cyprus. The United States was represented by its Charge d'Affaires, Laura H. Hochschild. The notable absentees included the People's Republic of China, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, and North Korea, which do not have diplomatic relations with the Holy See. And that is interesting that Afghanistan has not yet had diplomatic relations with the Holy See, given the fact that the United States has been running that country since the invasion of 2001. Pope Leo began by thanking the ambassadors for the many messages of good wishes he had received following his election on May 8th, and for the expressions of condolences for the death of Pope Francis, some of which came from countries with which the Holy See does not have diplomatic relations. So we're seeing now that he's moving to be able to form relations with these countries that have not yet had do not have diplomatic ties or relations with the Vatican. While the diplomatic community represents the entire family of peoples, Pope Leo said papal diplomacy is an expression of the very Catholicity of the Church. It is inspired by a pastoral outreach that leads it not to seek privileges, but to strengthen its evangelical mission of the service of humanity. Now, we must understand that this Pope, Pope Leo XIV, is an Augustinian. He's the first Augustinian Pope in the history of the Vatican, according to what they have told us. We don't know because the Vatican lies a lot, but based on the news given to us, based on the history that they have revealed to us thus far, they say that he's the first Augustinian Pope, in the same way they say that Francis was the first Jesuit Pope. Now, the Augustinians are evangelicals, and they go around the world and they evangelize people to be converted into the Catholic faith. And Pope Leo XIV was head of the Augustinian order for a long time, and he has traveled the world. He has traveled as head of the Augustinian order. Pope Leo XIV has traveled the world. So he is no fool, right? He's someone who knows exactly what he's doing. So speaking in Italian, the Pope told the ambassadors that their presence is a visible sign of your country's respect for the Apostolic See. So they not only have to form diplomatic relations, they have to respect by sending their representatives, their ambassadors to the Holy See. He said he considered it a gift for me because it allows me to renew the Church's aspiration and my own to reach out and embrace all individuals and peoples on the earth. To reach out and embrace all individuals and peoples on the earth. So this is not my opinion that the Vatican only wants to reach out to some people, but the entire world. The Bible says that the second beast is going to cause the entire world to wander after the first beast, which is the Roman Catholic papacy. And here we have a sitting American Pope in the Vatican, a country that hated popery. The United States wants hated popery because of what she did, because of what she understood she instigated in Western Europe and other parts of the world by killing what she deemed to have been heretics, those who did not conform to the teachings and doctrines of the Roman Catholic papacy. We have to begin to go back into our history and see the cruelty and the brutality of the Roman Catholic papacy. We must, for our own sake and for the sake of our posterity. Okay, so he wants to convert all the peoples on the earth who need and yearn for truth, justice, and peace. All the peoples of the world yearn for truth, justice, and peace. Is that true? That all the countries of the world yearn for peace, truth, and justice? I don't know if America does, and other countries around the world, including the Vatican. I don't think the Vatican yearn for truth, peace, and justice, because the saints that cried out unto God and said to God and asked God, how long will you allow this wicked power to shed the blood of innocent people during the days of the Dark Ages? And that church has not given the people any justice. Right? During slavery, the Vatican was also played a very pivotal role in the peddling of human lives. The Vatican played an enormous role in that sort of agenda. Right? An enormous role that they played. Right? Yet still, we haven't heard anything about reparations coming from the Holy See, from the Vatican. Okay, have we? So he recalled that his own life experience was on the same track as it has spanned North America, South America, and Europe, and has been marked by this aspiration to transcend borders in order to encounter different peoples and cultures. Right? So he speaks different languages. He's a polyglot. He speaks Spanish, English, Italian, French, German. No, well, not German. I think Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, right? That is what. So English, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and Italian. These are the 5 languages that he speaks fluently. And he reads Latin and German. So he might not speak Latin. Latin is a dead language, by the way. German is not. He might not be able to speak fluid German, but he reads fluid German. Right? So this is a very highly intelligent Pope, and he is a mathematician. Remember that he got his BSc in mathematics from Villanova University in Pennsylvania in the United States. So this Pope is quite a very sophisticated and academically, intellectually prepared man. Leo XIV told the ambassadors that as Pope, he intended to strengthen understanding and dialogue with their respective countries, many of which he said he had already visited, especially during my time as Prior General of the Augustinians. And he was head of the Augustinians from 2001 to 2013, 12 years of his life. That was a lot of time in which he was evangelizing the world to accept Roman Catholicism as their religious and political faith, because it's a religio-political system. The missionary Pope told them, I trust that God's providence will allow me further occasions to get to know the countries from which you come. In other words, to visit them and to have occasions to confirm in the faith our many brothers and sisters throughout the world, and to build new bridges with all people of goodwill. Leo has already indicated that he intends to go to Nicaea, modern-day Iznik in Turkey, in the near future for the 1700-year anniversary of the First Ecumenical Council. Pope Leo emphasized that the Catholic Church's missionary activity and the Holy See's diplomacy focus on peace and justice and truth. That is what Pope Leo the 14th is suggesting. So here we're seeing the Pope. The Pope is building bridges, or seeks to build bridges, But the bridges that he seeks to build and to remain are bridges that should not be rebuilt, because we understand the history. Those of us who have read the history of the Vatican and the Roman Catholic papacy, we know that this is an oppressive, persecutory power, and that it is not there to cement peace and to work towards justice, but it's there to do the contrary. It is there to do the contrary. It's not there to build and to ensure that people have peace, truth, and justice. The entire system is built on lies and propaganda. The choice of the name Leo XIV, unpublished since 1903, does not respond to a simple historical evocation, but to a clear commitment to the living tradition of the Church. This name places a new pope in the wake of figures such as Leo I the Great, a symbol of doctrinal unity and pastoral courage in troubled times, and Leo XIII, a pioneer in applying the gospel to the social challenges of modernity. So this pope wants to ensure that people come back to the doctrines of the Roman Catholic papacy. That is what he's there to do. He's there to give us the illusion that he wants to ameliorate the lives of people in this very wicked age of modernity, in which we see where the elites of the world, whom he controls, have controlled the natural resources and the wealth of all nation states. So the Pope is now going to act his role as one who is seeking to defend the rights of humanity. But in light of our understanding of the papacy and of the popes that have ever lived, do we really believe Pope Leo XIV? For the next video, I'll try to look at Pope Leo XIII so that I can give you an understanding and perhaps give you also a synopsis of what the 14th popes that have been called Leo, and just give you a synopsis of what they did, their achievements in their former pontificate, and to see if we can get some sort of understanding, awareness of the agenda of this Augustinian Pope, Pope Leo XIV. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you'd like, share, and subscribe, like the video so the videos can be shared with as many people on the platform.